RPN is not responsible for the views, actions, statements, or opinions of its guests, advertisers, or even its viewers. The information contained on this program is not to be construed as medical or legal advice. An appearance on this show is not necessarily an endorsement, and as always, we encourage you to do your own research. Enjoy the show. Good afternoon, Patriots. And welcome to another edition of Occam's Razor. I hope you guys are having a great day. It's good to be back in the studio. Had to take a couple days off so I could do that MAGA meetup with JR on Tuesday for the debate. An incredible success. I just want to say thank you to everybody who came. Thank you to everybody who watched the stream. We had 92,000 views by the end of the night. Incredible. We've got a special announcement coming up for you in just a moment. Special thank you to the mods. Special thank you to everybody here keeping the chat nice and warm and comfy. And of course, a big thank you to President Trump for everything he's doing for our country. We've got a lot of headlines to go through today. Methods and I have quite the conversation for you. Do me a favor, guys. Please like and share this broadcast. Help us break through the algorithm. And anytime you share something on this channel, why don't you tag Don Jr., President Trump, and Eric Trump so we can try to get their attention. Sit back, relax, grab your popcorn, and we'll be right back after a very brief word from our sponsor. A strange and disturbing video from Louisville shows a U-Haul truck unloading riot supplies to protesters, including riot shields, masks, banners, and signs. Now, as things get more tense in this country, it's important to have the ability to protect yourself and your family, which is why I carry the Fighter Flare flashlight. It's a professional-grade, tactical, ultra-bright flashlight. It's solar-powered, so I don't need any batteries. It has a USB connector, so I can charge my phone or other devices anywhere. Plus, it's been recommended by military, law enforcement, and emergency professionals. If you want your own Fighter Flare flashlight for 25% off, you can visit fighterflare.com or go to the link in the pinned comment or description below. And remember, when you support my sponsors, you support this channel. All right, welcome back, everyone. Methods, how are you today, buddy?
Man, I'm doing great. Just keeping up with everything going on. It's not a dull moment going on lately, huh?
Not a dull moment indeed. Red October has certainly arrived. It is just the beginning of the month, and the news has been literally flying at us, practically cramming our brains with useful information. You guys, hello, everyone. I hope you're having a great day. Thanks a lot for being here with us. And I hope that you had a nice couple of days off. I know that many of you spent it with Methods when I was unable to be on the air. Great show yesterday, Methods. Always love listening to you and Scott. And we had just such an incredible time on Tuesday at the debate, the MAGA meetup. I was a little nervous, not going to lie. I've never done anything like that before. It was a totally unique experience. But I think that the results speak for themselves. It was incredibly successful. We had over 300 people there, almost close to 400 people there. And there were so many people who donated their time and all of their energy to help us pull it off and make it a success. So I just wanted to announce, this is the first time we're saying this out loud, but JR and I are going to do a second meetup for the second debate on October 15th. So JR has gone ahead and put together another GoFundMe. We raised about 50% of the funds that was necessary to pay for this last time. JR paid for the rest out of his pocket. He is an incredible patriot, great friend, and a wonderful asset to this movement. So regardless of how much we raise on the second GoFundMe, we are going to be doing this event. So October 15th from 6 p.m. Eastern until 11 p.m. Eastern. That would be in Port Clinton, Ohio, once again. So I want to go ahead and drop the link to this in the chat. If you guys can participate by helping us out, then go ahead and do that. If you just want to go ahead and come in for... Why are people saying music? Turn the music down. Can't hear over the music. I don't hear any music in the background, guys. There is no music in the background. What is going on? Oh my god. Hold on. Okay. I guess I figured it out. That is so strange. I don't know where that came from. All right, so let me just say this one more time, guys. I didn't realize that there was music playing. That was really, really weird. I don't know how that happened. I went ahead and muted everything that is not my voice, though. So apologize for that. But anyways, I was saying thank you to everybody who helped make the event a success. We've got this new GoFundMe. If you guys can support us and help us cover the costs, then go ahead and do that. If you can't, then just come to the event and watch the stream live like you did the other night. Methods, we had like 92,000 views by the end of the night, and I don't know where it's at right now, but I was humbled to see that many people wanted to hang out with us. It was such a good time. Now, let me go ahead and do this one more time. Let me just drop that link one more time, because I actually don't know if it happened, because I was a little freaked out by what was happening with the music. But did you and Mrs. Methods watch the debate, Methods?
Yes, we watched it. Well, she kind of sat next to me while I watched it. She was, lost in her phone world. But yeah, I definitely watched the debate. Watched a lot of what you did with your live stream. Hat tip to you and JR. It looked like a lot of fun. If it wasn't that far away from me, I might have shown up at it. I don't know. But yeah, as far as
more than a few people asked if you were there.
Right. Yeah, I didn't deny it when people asked me if I was going to be there. So my bad on that, guys. But yeah, as far as the debate goes, yeah, I watched it beginning to end.
All right, good stuff. Well, there was a lot of things that came out of that debate, but before we kind of touch on everything that happened, we've got some posts that we've got to go through. And before we get into those posts, I wanted to underscore the level of panic that we're seeing from the mainstream media. And also big tech giants. So we're having another culling of people in this movement on both Twitter and Facebook. Twitter just removed 130 accounts for trying to disrupt the public conversation during the debate. Now, here's what I want to know. What does that mean? Disrupting the public conversation. Do you think maybe they were fact-checking Joe Biden? Do you think maybe they were standing up for the president? I mean, what did they say was the reason for doing this?
I don't know, but even if they give a reason, they're still going to use it as a Trojan horse to censor people. If we can't have a public debate with all voices out there, anything short of death threats, planning out attacks or anything like that, I mean, then what are we doing here? What's social media if it's not allowing people to be social?
It also says that all 130 accounts appear to originate in Iran. But it looks like they were all pro-President Trump. We have this tweet right here. Is Chris Wallace nonpartisan? I think the answer's pretty obvious. Then somebody telling the P-boys to stand down. Biden-Harris landslide victory. So it looks like maybe they were pushing both sides of the coin. Now, this is very similar to what they were saying was happening with the Russians in the 2016 election, claiming that Russia was trying to interfere with our electoral process by sowing some type of division. And I'll be real honest, it's a very smart move to play if you are a global enemy of the United States, because nothing is more divisive in this country right now than politics are. And if you can sow those seeds of division, then why not go ahead and do it? Now, here's the thing. Just because they appear to originate in Iran doesn't mean that they're Iranian accounts. What if it was Chinese accounts and they were just running with a VPN, making it look like they were coming out of Iran?
Right. I mean, all they have to do is just have a few do it, and then they could just say, oh, a bunch of people were messing with it. And then if certain accounts happen to get taken down in the process, they could just sweep it under the rug that it's foreign actors doing these things. I'm not surprised that it is Iran, but like you said, I think that it would be further than that, because any foreign countries that would want to mess with this election are being welcomed with any form of like wrench throwing into our machine by the Democrats and the media. So it's not surprising at all that it goes on, because then the media is just going to justify it by giving it a platform.
Absolutely. So now going to Facebook culling accounts. These are specifically accounts that are apparently sympathetic to our favorite Anine, but they're calling them a militarized social movement ahead of the election. Now, the only thing that's militarized, in my opinion, is our ability to drive traffic for the president, to support the president's movements and to support his platform. But, this is nothing new. They have been culling accounts of this type for quite some time now. And I think that it's clear that the end goal is going to be to remove all of these accounts from their platform. And then once they remove these accounts, then they're going to move into just the MAGA accounts. That's what I'm suggesting.
Oh, 100%. And they're already set the stage plenty across multiple platforms that if anybody calls out election interference, especially on the day of the election or leading up to it, like that weekend, then by all means, they've already laid the groundwork saying, yeah, we're going to just take you down. And so if they try to do any type of I'm not going to use the word, if they try to mess with anything in the election, then, we're going to want to call it out. We're going to want to support the president and do all that. And then they're just going to be taking us down like a game of Galaga.
Mm-hmm. Now, they also are saying here that the way that they were identifying people was through the use of hashtags. So this reminds me of the post from our favorite Anon recently, about camouflage. We have to be able to communicate with each other without using these, what they would consider to be dog whistles, these sayings that we've developed and honed over the last couple of years, because they're going to use our language against us. And the same with the symbolism, the same with the 17th letter of the alphabet. If we have where we go, when we go all in our headers or whatever, they're going to be looking for that stuff. So we just need to be very, very careful. Because I want all of us to make it to the election. We owe it to ourselves and we owe it to the president to be as stealth as we possibly can. Now, we've had just today, we've had several new posts. There were more than a few posts yesterday. Methods, which ones did you get to on your show with Scott?
Oh, we didn't go over any of them. So
didn't even go around? Okay. All right. Well, there's some stuff. Let's go specifically to... let's go to Audrey Strauss. Audrey Strauss, well, I guess maybe, no. I actually wanted to talk about this one. Post 4793. Remember the post the other day, and the information from, was it Chad Pegram, and others, obviously, that the Russia collusion theory was created by the Hillary Clinton campaign. And there's actually an email from Jennifer Palmieri on the Clinton campaign suggesting that she needs to know who is in charge of the Trump Swift Vote project, because there was that Swift Vote veterans for Kerry or against Kerry. I can't remember which one it was. I forgot to look it up after the other night. But it was an attack designed against a candidate, and it's a smear campaign. So Clinton needed a campaign against Trump to completely obscure the fact that she had used a private unsecured bathroom email server. And that's why our country has spent hundreds of millions of dollars and years worth of time investigating a giant nothing burger. And we still, to this day, see people on the left insinuating that President Trump had some connection to Russia, even though we now know that Hunter Biden himself has a direct connection to the wife of the former mayor of Moscow in the form of $3.5 million. And not only that, but to other Eastern European billionaires and corrupt individuals, also people in China, all over the world. Now, moving on past this post about the Trump Swift voting, we had post 4794, and our favorite Anon drops an article from the Federalist, and it's asking questions about Gina Haspel. Now, Clowns in America director Haspel is blocking declassification of remaining Russiagate documents. This is a question I get quite often, Methods, is what do I think about Gina Haspel? We know that Haspel was stationed in London when Page and Strzok would have gone there, when we got those CCTV images of them there. I guess until this point, I've always thought that Haspel was on the side of the president, that President Trump would have put her in at the Clowns in America because maybe she wanted to do the right thing. But if she's personally blocking the declassification of these documents detailing the corruption inside the United States government, then that puts a whole new spin on it. And if it was anybody but the Federalist, I might kind of poo-poo it, but I really respect Sean Davis and I respect the Federalist. What do you think?
Well, it depends on the context. Let's say that you ask, the Clowns in America, why isn't this information coming out? And all they say is, well, the head of the Clowns are not allowing the information to come out, and that's the only real soundbite or the quote that they can get. Mm-hmm. Well, then that leads me to believe, once again, I'm not trying to carry water for anybody running these agencies like Ray, but if they were told to wait, then that's what it would look like. You're right. Okay, so leaving it there on that, but in turn, I do remember when Gina was even announced, a lot of us were asking questions as to why, because of the stuff that you just brought up. Yeah. Because she has a murky history when it comes to things, but I also think about how Snowden despises her. Yeah. Also makes me curious. So there is a big question mark around her. I can't really give you I'm team Gina or not. Yeah. But because we've talked about it on the show before about how Trump will sometimes put people in positions that he knows will not do necessarily the right thing, but you can keep an eye on them. It also keeps them at bay. It draws out people, that are doing nefarious stuff. So I don't know what to say about all these things. But I do believe what our favorite Anon says, that nothing's going to stop this information from coming out. They just keep plugging, all their fingers in the hole of the dam, trying to stop it from breaking, but it's going to happen at some point.
Yeah, everything you said about Haspel is true. President Trump obviously has put useful idiots into certain positions to fulfill a role for however long is necessary. What if we had, some massive shakeup in the intelligence community? We got Ray replaced and we had Haspel replaced. Obviously, we've got a DNI that's on our side now. That took long enough, and for whatever reason, that's what happened. That's how it played out. But I want to go ahead and play a short portion of this clip from Sean Davis, because he's the one who's saying that she's personally blocking this, and so there's a couple of different reasons. But this is good for background. Let's go ahead and take a listen.
Just a scandal about Democrat projection. This is a scandal about what was a coup planned against the incoming administration at the highest levels. And I can report here tonight that these declassifications that have come out, those weren't easy to get out. And there's, in fact, far more waiting to get out. Unfortunately, those releases and declassifications, according to multiple sources I've talked to, are being blocked by CIA Director Gina Haspel, who herself was the main link between Washington and London as the London station chief for John Brennan's CIA during the 2016 election. Recall, it was London where Christopher Steele was doing all this work. And I'm told that it is Gina Haspel personally who's blocking continued declassification of these documents that will show the American people the truth of what actually happened.
Why are we putting up with this? They're still holding documents from the Kennedy assassination, the Warren Commission documents. We still don't know everything there. Why is that 55 years later, 7 years later? They're blocking the release of so many documents. Why doesn't somebody, anyone in power could do this, stand up and say, no, these are going public?
So here's the thing. I've often said that what we truly need for the Clowns in America is a complete teardown and rebuild. Maybe we're meant to get the impression here, because I think this is honestly the case, is that there's nobody at the Clowns in America who could truly do what needs to be done, because there is such a culture of self-preservation that's built up there. I think that in some ways the Clowns in America thinks that they truly are the real government of this nation. They have virtually unlimited power. They can do whatever they want. And I think that's been shown. I think it's been, clearly shown that they have done whatever they wanted, and they're willing to continue to do whatever they want. Now, our favorite Anon says, some believe the protection of the agency is what matters most. What I just said. Some believe the declassification, public exposure of truth, and rebuilding of agency is what matters most. That's what I think. Apply the same to the FBI and apply the same to state. I haven't even brought up the State Department, but FBI, Clowns in America, State Department, all of them need a complete rebuild. Any attempt to buck the system, no matter severity of crime, and they will fight back. Self-preservation. Shadow game. Prevent public exposure of truth. Why? People united have the power. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. I mean, what a better example of what we are trying to accomplish here in this country right now. Are you a hunter, Methods? Have you ever hunted a predator?
Yes, I mean in the past, but it's not something that I practice often.
So you realize that there is a difference between hunting a deer and, say, hunting an apex predator. Okay,
right?
You're hunting a wolf. That wolf is going to come after you, okay? You back an animal into a corner like that, and they're not going to go for it, okay? They're going to try to do everything in their power to maintain that self-preservation. They want to maintain their life. They want to continue on, and they don't want to let you go ahead and take them down. On the other hand, a deer is going to run. A deer is just going to use whatever it has, and it's just going to try to get out of there. It's not going to try to overpower you. I mean, I guess maybe they would if you had it literally, backed into the corner in an empty house or something like that.
Right.
But I mean, it's just the difference. I mean, this is what we're doing. We're hunting an apex predator. The system itself has been in total control of our country in the worst possible way for so long. They don't believe in our founding documents. They only believe in their own self-preservation, and they realize that we, the people, united, if we realize the true power that we hold and what could be accomplished, that is their greatest fear. But that's exactly what's happening right now. The Great Awakening is that realization, and we are all coming together as a people to understand what has to be done. We have to tear down this old system, and I'm not advocating for anything crazy. I'm talking about a peaceful transition of power, if you will.
Yeah, a mostly peaceful transition. To your point, if we think about everything that we are expecting that's going to come out, right? Like all the Spygate stuff, and then what were they trying to cover up by using Spygate to help win the election that they lost? It's the point you brought up. We've got the FBI, we got the Clowns in America, we got the State Department. They all have major roles in this situation. And if it's presented and we get what our favorite Anon's leaning towards about the presentation of all this information, and then what Flynn can talk about. Why did they go after him? Well, he has this, we already know he wants to talk about dark money and what the clowns were doing and, yada, yada, yada. Think about that coming out, and then the public opinion, at least the majority that actually gives a damn about this country, looking and then saying, all right, take apart the clowns, take apart the feds, and take apart the State Department. That's going to be the biggest issues. Now, I know the State Department is a different story in the case under Trump, but I can see Trump being like, okay, I know in the future we're going to have this big, call it the storm. We're going to have this big situation go on to where the FBI and the clowns or the people are calling for their heads. I'm going to put in this cuck Ray, and I'm going to put in Gina, who's got a murky history, to be during that storm, and then I'm just going to take them out and put people in that I know that can build trust. Now, as far as the clowns, I think you just decimate it brick by brick and name it something entirely different.
Tear that house down, yeah.
But imagine the clowns getting taken down, Trump doing something new like he did with the Space Force, create something new entirely, and then put Grinnell over the FBI. Don't you think all of us would be happy with everything moving forward?
Yeah, I think so. And then in the next post, we've got sound bites from what I believe is the first rally after the debate on Tuesday. Now, President Trump said some key things. He said it's about time that something happens. It's enough. We've got plenty of information on these crooks. He called everybody a bunch of crooks. And I feel like, this language is really representative of, by and large, the feelings of just about everybody here in this situation. We're ready. We're ready, Mr. President. We're ready, 17. Let's do it. Let's get this on. It is now October. We've got just about a month until the election. It is time for things to move forward. And I'm not saying that they are not. I'm saying that with a quickness, it's time that they begin. I've always said, I've seen this slow progression. We have been working up to get to a certain point. It's all about timing. But I do believe it's happening right now, and I'm just telling people to keep their eyes open in the month of October. Do not take your eyes off this prize for a single moment. We are in probably what's going to be the just the hottest season that you could possibly imagine in terms of information, in terms of news, in terms of things that we're going to be seeing. Now, the next post is a letter of resignation from Audrey Strauss. Audrey Strauss is the acting U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York for the Department of Justice. Excuse me. The cat is here. Hi, Simone. And so she's leaving, and a very interesting person is taking over in her place. Methods, who would that be?
That would be the husband of James Comey's daughter,
So
who's
James,
also
son-in-law.
right. Yeah. And with her being tied as well into the Ghislaine Maxwell stuff, all of it, man, this is a mess.
Yeah.
And it's not surprising because that they would have immediately pushed to make sure that they had enough roadblocks when it comes to all the cases flowing through the Southern District of New York to have enough in place to where somebody gets stepped down like Berman, then Strauss would jump in, and then you have all these other people involved.
Yeah. Now, our favorite Anon says, eyes on, follow the family. Obviously, there's a very specific reason why he is being inserted there, because I think that their intention is to destroy the Maxwell case. They also want to stop any information from the Epstein case from coming out. And we're also given a reminder in the next post that Maureen Comey, James's daughter, was the only person who inspected the missing Jeffrey, self-deletion file. And then it mysteriously disappeared. And Anon says, Comey's daughter investigated Jeffrey's suicide and her husband does Ghislaine Maxwell case. And our favorite Anon says, do you believe in coincidences? Absolutely not. She was positioned, in the same way that I think that Barry Obama was raised as an agent and asset. I think that Maureen was raised in the exact same way. She grew up in the Comey household, deep state household. They had her go to law school. Okay. It's just like The Departed, when you have the mobster who pays for that one of his kids that are on the team to go to the police academy and then infiltrate the police academy. You've got your man on the inside, and this is nothing new. So Maureen was raised as that man or woman on the inside, and she's been positioned in a pretty good spot. So I would say that there's got to be something coming out here very soon from the SDNY. Now, if President Trump or if Bill Barr is smart, maybe they will, have them reassigned, or perhaps they're allowing them to be in that position so that they can catch them in the act of doing something illegal. Now,
Well, I mean, all you would have to do is because Comey's in the kill box right now. If you guys have been paying attention this week, everything that's coming out, or at least being hinted at, they're in the process of the declassification of the stuff that D&I Ratcliffe sent to Graham on what the FBI was doing. Then a part of what this movement's got to do is call out how, okay, if Comey's compromised and now the public is starting to see that, then what's his daughter doing over here in this case, covering things up in that direction? Because the Wiener laptop's over there as well, which would be tied to Hillary. So why do you think we have to be doing what we're doing? Is we have to explain this to the public on how this is such a small world of villains in this movie.
Yeah. I mean, if it wasn't for us guys, all of this stuff would just get swept under the rug and nobody would know about it. This is the kind of thing that is big news that people need to be paying attention to. Now, the next post is actually regarding that article that we just spoke about Facebook removing the movement groups. So 6,500 groups and 300 organizations. Simone, you got to quit messing with the mic. And then our favorite Anon says information warfare. Now, this next post, 4799, from the New York Times, rebuffed by Vatican, Pompeo assails China and aligns with Pope's critics. And it has the text of the article. So Pope Francis declined to see Secretary of State Mike Pompeo just before the U.S. election, obviously, and they said that meeting before the election would be inappropriate. Now, Pompeo actually published a letter excoriating the Vatican's plans to renew an agreement with the Chinese government on church operations in China, and he promoted the article with a tweet concluding that the Vatican endangers its moral authority should it renew the deal. Now, our favorite Anon asks, when does a church become a playground? When does a church become a business? When does a church become political? When does a church become corrupt? When does a church become willfully blind? And when does a church become controlled? I have no idea when all this started, but I think that the answers to all of this is when money comes into play.
Yeah, when money comes into play and when the public is asleep and not paying attention, they make their way to be able to, where everything you just named, agendas, get to where, because isn't the Catholic Church is supposed to be the biggest religion in the world? It's got a lot of influence. It's supposed to be as far as members are concerned.
I think Islam beat it a couple years ago.
Oh yeah, okay. I'm quoting old facts, but the point is that they have influence or have had influence. Remember when the Pope came here to America, and how big of a dog and pony show that was. There is a lot of influence there, and there's a lot of money flowing around. So it's one of those things I'm glad that the Vatican and stuff gets brought up during this time. Yeah. Because it kind of stays under the radar on a lot of these topics when we know that. Do you not think the Vatican didn't know about the Spygate stuff going on?
Oh, no, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Did. Yeah.
Yeah, but it doesn't get talked about as much as you would expect. And I think that's going to have to be an exposure that's handled very carefully. Yeah. Because they are tapping into religious aspects of things, and a lot of people hold on to their faith blindly at times. Yeah. And here's the thing. We have to separate our faith from the institutions that are perverting them. 100%. Okay? Yes, because obviously our faith is very, very important. And I'm not, everybody has their own conception of God. We have groups of people who agree on exactly what that is and exactly what that faith means. But I want everybody here to be able to have some type of faith in a power greater than themselves, and specifically our Lord Jesus Christ. That's for me, but I know that's not for everybody out there. So I don't want to alienate anybody. But this is very, very important. When you lose that faith, that's when you allow yourself to become corrupted, and you can start sliding down some slippery slopes. Now, the next post is that hunters become the hunted poster, Red October. And then the next post from today, Steve Scully is the moderator at the second debate. What a coincidence. Hold on, let me pull up a tweet for you that Methods found. And full disclosure, that came from the boards.
That came from the boards. Okay.
Yeah, no, an Anon found it, and it had only had 16 likes on it.
Oh, my goodness.
Hat tip to whoever Anon did that. That was great.
So this is actually from Steve Scully himself. Steve Scully just happens to be a former intern for Vice President Joe Biden. Wow. I wonder how that's going to go down. Are we going to have another play out like we did the other night, where Chris Wallace was essentially the second debater on Joe Biden's side, fighting against President Trump? It was a disgusting display of what they did to him, and I've got so much I want to say about it. But just continuing on with these posts. So we've got a link here, and it says, while attending college, he served as an intern in the office of Delaware Senator Joseph R. Biden, and we're asked if it's a rigged system. Of course it's rigged. Now, post 4802 Spy campaign failed. Russia failed. Weissman, Mueller failed. When Weissman is not in the kill box, Mueller's in the kill box. So obviously it looks like Weissman was the man in charge. Leaks failed. Fake news reports failed. Impeachment failed. CDC, who recommended do not close border, failed. What if CV-19 didn't exist? Economy today, unemployment today, trade today, China phase 2 being held accountable, rally, POTUS versus Biden attendance, Biden interviews, non-basement, Biden questions, non-basement, removal of delays regarding Graham, grand jury plus interviews plus testimony plus D-class, removal of Biden, ammunition, presidential debate, 1, 2, and 3, 200,000 dead, down economy, unemployment, debt, removal of mail-in ballot harvesting plus fraud, normal in-person voting, removal of tech tyranny, censorship, WHO Foundation, anti-WHO equals suspend, terminate, on CV-19 basis, removal of bailout attempt regarding California and New York debt solution, mathematical probability of the beer bug event as solution to above, perfectly timed, window of opportunity, start regarding impact of November 3rd presidential election, ADV, advantage, Democrats. Who benefits the most? And then we have an article from the New York Times, which is entitled, Trump administration strips the CDC of control of CV-19 data. That was back from July. Now, obviously, the reason that was stripped is because they were inflating the numbers. And that's how we got this new data very recently, which shows a far, far lower incidence of mortality if you are stricken with that illness. Why did the White House strip CDC control of beer bug data? Bigger than you can imagine. The corruption is just endemic. It's everywhere in all of our institutions. Now, this one is very important. Post 4803. There is a video going around. There are also still images going around which appear to be inside Jeffrey's jail cell at the moment that he expired. It's fake, okay? It's a trap. Fake doctored image video dropped here regarding Jeffrey cell cam, explicitly designed to ban, terminate any Twitter users reposting. Do not take the bait, use discernment. If you are one of those people who shared that video or that image, delete it right now. They are using it as an opportunity to take you out, to remove your account. Okay? Delete it. Get rid of it, you guys. We need to keep you here. And then finally, we've got a tweet from the Justice Department. And this is in regards to Edward Snowden. The government was suing Ed Snowden because he had this book that came out. Well, he owes the government a lot of money because he screwed him over quite a few different ways. So they are going after him for the proceeds from the sales of his books. And methods, I believe, also from the proceeds of his spoken engagements, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I'm not too sure about that, but I imagine so. It's interesting because to me, it's like, okay, it's the book stuff. It's basically a civil case. Why would our favorite Anon tag it? But I think eyes on Edward Snowden on a lot of stuff because we do know, like you said, he did screw over the government. And I think having Snowden, if Snowden never talks and actually says what happened, that is that final blow of or a major blow on how we can really show the public what happened. Because Snowden was, he was idolized. Yeah. I mean, they made a huge movie about him and, documentaries and stuff. He was a hero fighting against the system and all that. And we know Drone Obama would have taken him out if he was really a problem. So just looking back on that, but I do want to, right. I want to touch on some of the things that you brought up though, real quick. Please. On the other post. Yeah. Like for example, that Epstein quote unquote cell cam video, that to me is something that we should expect for the rest of this month. If not for the rest of the year, if not for a while, as far as them creating things to put out there, because they know that how do you wreck a system that's perfectly spreading information quickly, immediately getting it out there to where it's covered in articles and podcasts that are bigger, covers on news. Trump talks about it. Press conferences talk about it. You put out fake information into that pipeline and make them look like idiots. And then say, because the whole argument is, we are dangerous. We are putting out fake information, and we're a cult that's chasing conspiracy theories. Well, then they just throw out a conspiracy theory video and then we latch onto it, spread it like wildfire. Daily Beast, the Ben Collins of this world will then do, what they do to then say, see, we told you they were dangerous. Because we got the president that now is being pushed into a corner, or they're trying to, rather.
Yeah.
Just have him denounce white supremacy for their soundbite. That's all they want. He's already said they want a fresh soundbite. So then they could do something like an Epstein-type video that we're talking about that makes us look like white supremacists, and then say, all right, well, Trump, you already said it. You need to denounce that QAnon stuff over there. And then there you go. Trump's backed into a corner, at least on that case, and he would have to, because he wants to take care of us. Now, the only other point I'll make, and then I'll hand this back, Red Pill, is that that 4802 that you were talking about, how like the spy campaign failed, the Russia failed, that list. Tell me that this movement didn't help make sure that failed.
Exactly.
Because that's an information warfare. They're trying to create, if they had won the public narrative to where a majority of Americans believe stuff, they would have impeached Trump during the Mueller investigation. Mm-hmm. If they had won that was the point. That's so hat tip to all of y'all that have been working hard, especially the OGs, because you guys made sure that narrative failed. Yeah. And as far as that, the CDC control the data being, they had to take away the power of them talking about things, the bigger than you can imagine. When I hear things like that, step back and think about, all right, well, now I can understand better why Trump hasn't pulled the trigger on this information and arrest, because like even Q says, yeah, patriots are in control, but this is very, very big when it comes to how much evil has seeped into like everything.
Oh, yeah.
And having it in all those different places and then acting during those times without pulling away the power and control through justification. That's how you help fix the system to where then you set the stage for what needs to happen.
Yep, exactly. Now, to your point about supremacists, this is the what the media is trying to harp on in terms of the only messaging coming out of the debate the other night. President Trump, and I want to take it back to the first debate back in 2016. There are people who are saying that the president, didn't necessarily win this debate. Personally, I think he did. Dan Bongino made an excellent point. This is about our bases, okay? President Trump is not going to be able to sway anybody who is a hardcore Joe Biden supporter or the people who hate him and are only voting for Joe Biden because it's not Trump. But President Trump is and needs to continually serve up the sound bites and the loyalty to his base. He needs to keep his base. He doesn't need to sway anybody on Joe Biden's side. So from that perspective, I think he did a great job. And I think that, honestly, he did win that debate the other night. He did the best he could, considering that he was debating both Chris Wallace and Joe Biden. It was an unfair advantage that Joe Biden had, not to mention the wire that he was clearly wearing, whatever technology that was. But the only thing that they can do to try to take away from President Trump's victory is to tell you that he refused to condemn white supremacists. But I just want to take you guys back to a memory down memory lane, because a couple of years ago we already had this conversation. All right, President Trump already denounced these people. Take a look at this headline. Donald Trump denounces white supremacists, racist violence, and after this criticism. So he was already criticized. He condemned it. We're not going to listen to the audio in this, but President Trump condemned the KKK, not to mention he just declared them a terror organization. He faced this backlash previously. He came out, he did a press conference.
And those who cause violence in its name are criminals and thugs.
Including that Triple K, neo-Nazis, white supremacists, and others. Okay, President Trump has already done this. And when Chris Wallace asked him about this the other night, he said, would you denounce? And he said, sure. And then he immediately interrupted him and said something else, and he added in the affirmative, once again, sure. And then Chris Wallace immediately went on to something else. He didn't give him the opportunity to say explicitly, I denounce white supremacists. He didn't give him the opportunity. He just kept talking. And then immediately afterwards, the press and everybody else latches onto it. And they say President Trump refused. No, President Trump was refused the opportunity to say anything more. And as we were saying before the show methods, President Trump is not about to just, drop trow and parrot to whatever the fake stream media and Chris Wallace want him to say. He's going to say what he wants to say, when he wants to say it, because he leads, he doesn't follow, and he's not going to parrot anybody else's 4 a.m. talking points. Go back and look at President Trump's record, and you can see a number of times that he said the words they wanted him to say already. And I would hope that President Trump would maybe put out a campaign video putting this information into a short form 15-second clip for the TikTok generation so that they can finally get it into their heads, and maybe we can do what the left is so good at, hammering on that message, because ever since the debate, they have just been pounding out that one point in the same way that the Dems did in the Comey testimony the other day. They are so good methods at staying on message. They say the same stuff over and over and over again, because for the average everyday person who isn't attuned to the research like you and I and all of our viewers are, they hear this consistently parroted to them, and it becomes true. That's what we need to do. We need to be able to be on message and support the president and get the truth out, and we've done an excellent job of it so far, I think.
I totally agree, and I find it funny that they like to say that we're militarized digital cult, like basically saying that we're all militarized, but like how you just described, the media is essentially militarized as far as they get their orders, They have their talking point, and they run with it. And I'll say this because I know some people were not necessarily 100% happy with how Trump handled the debate, and I could see why. I listened to a bunch of people kind of explain their thoughts, and I agree with it. I think 412 Anon brought it up. A few other people like Tim Pool said this as well. If Trump had, his problem was, he was cutting off Biden, and we know Biden started it first, so that's fine. That was going on. But if Trump allowed for Biden to just continually lie without being interrupted for the minute or two that he would be talking, and then Trump come back and then go after it, but allow that soundbite to live, and then go to the internet and let us, people like in this movement, do the side-by-side video clips and stuff like that, showing it, then let Biden destroy himself. But I also agree with what Brandon Straka has said. I want a bulldog in the White House.
Absolutely.
I don't want somebody who cowers and stuff like what Biden says. I mean, so what you're telling me is that when foreign officials, if they start being a bulldog towards President Biden, he's just going to say, come on, man, and step back and not do anything or give into it because of that. But with Trump, you could see how he's gone into these meetings that we don't even really get to see. And then he comes out with trade deals and peace agreements. I don't see Biden doing that at all, even if he was fighting for the American people, even if he was genuine in what they were trying to say. He couldn't get that done.
He's never been able to do anything in his 47 years. The biggest thing he did was that prison bill back in the 90s, which put all manner, thousands and thousands and thousands of people into prison. People who were, either trying to support their families illicitly through the selling of drugs, or were perhaps drug addicts themselves and would have been served much, much better by having that money spent on prisons to help them get their lives together. Because drug addiction is a disease, all right? And if I can be perfectly frank, it was hoisted upon this country by groups like the Clowns in America, and people like Joe Biden, and people like Bill Clinton in Mena, Arkansas, flying in boatloads and plane loads of cocaine and poisoning the American public. Now, Joe Biden, this is my question. When is Joe Biden going to denounce the violence on the left? When is he going to denounce the ambushing of police officers? Okay? And by the way, that person in LA who ambushed those police officers, he's been caught. We're going to talk about him in a sec. But James Woods put out this excellent tweet here, which is Joe Biden's eulogy for the Ku Klux Klan's exalted Cyclops. That is a real title. Robert Byrd, a former member of Congress. Let's go ahead and listen to Joe Biden, what he had to say about this notorious racist.
As also noted, Robert C. Byrd was a parliamentary library, a keeper of the institution of the Senate, and he was the institution itself. But to me, and many people here today, like guys I see, Bill Bradley and Jim Sasser, who long left the Senate for greener pastures, and I hope better remuneration. We used to kid about that too, but for a lot of us, he was a friend, and he was a mentor, and he was a guide.
So when is Joe Biden going to disavow his relationship with this Robert Byrd, Senator Robert Byrd? When is Hillary Clinton going to? She also spoke at his funeral, didn't she, Methods?
I'm not too sure about that, but she did share a nice kiss with him that we've shared many pictures about as well.
Yes.
So I think that's definitely a cheap shot in the face of that. Now, I just want to make sure that we get this at this point of the show. We've got over 4,400 people hanging out with us. We really do appreciate it. I see 1.6 thousand likes. If you guys haven't, turn that thumb blue. That would be greatly appreciated. And if you guys have donated anything, we thank you for that as well.
Yep. Now, here we go. Here's another clip I think it's important to show. Back at one of the debates in 2016, Chris Wallace tried the exact same thing on him. Look at this video. Donald Trump being asked to condemn notorious racists.
I totally disavow the Ku Klux Klan. I totally disavow David Duke. I've been doing it now for 2 weeks. You're probably about the 18th person that's asked me the question. It was very clear. That question was also talked about in the form of groups. I want to know, which groups are you talking about? You have to tell me which groups. Ultimately, he got to the Ku Klux Klan, which obviously I'm going to disavow. And by the way, if you look on my Twitter account, almost immediately after the program, they were disavowed again. You know, it's amazing. When I do something on Twitter, everybody picks it up, goes all over the place. But when I did this one, nobody ever picks it up. Take a look at my Twitter account.
All you have to do is look at President Trump and his actual record. Don't listen to the mainstream media. Don't listen to how the mainstream media characterizes what President Trump says. You got to hear his own words. He's clearly disavowed these people, and what they're trying to do is, it's also a false narrative because they're trying to label the Proud Boys as a supremacist organization. Their leader, their chairman, is an African-American guy. They have people of all races in their ranks. And just because the Southern Poverty Law Center designates them as this group does not mean that that's truly what they represent, because it's been shown in the past that the SPLC is merely a political organization which takes donations from people to change what's on their website or to remove people who were previously hate groups, or to condemn people as hate groups. It's all about the money. And right now, they want to smear President Trump, and it's convenient to smear this group by saying that this is what they represent. Now, do you have any thoughts, Methods?
Right. I'll say to that point, because like people saying, oh, well, with this entity labeled somebody such and such, and they use people, what they've done in the past and built up and became household names, and whatever they say is, that's what it is. That's their Bible that they follow. My best rule of thumb that I could give you guys on that is anything that's happened, anything that anybody's done since Trump has been elected, consider their resume as a factory reset on it. And pay attention to how they've acted since then, and that can help you understand, because that's what the left does, is that they say, well, such and such entity says this, or Snopes says that, or whatever, and they label it, and they're like, that's their justification to win the argument. Well, they all got exposed by their actions day one Trump got elected, if not before, during the campaign. But as soon as they knew that Trump was going to be president and watch all their actions since then, that lets you know who they really are. And I don't give a damn what they did for the last 20, 30, 50 years. It doesn't matter at all. But I did want to ask the audience as we're moving on, because I'm interested. We were talking about the debates, and we have this clown show of moderators. I want to ask the audience, who would you like to see moderate the debate? Granted, having them follow the rules, not take cheap shots at Biden and all that, but who would you want to moderate the debate? And I'll go ahead and say the obvious, Tucker Carlson would be fantastic. I think Hannity definitely not. He can't even stop interrupting people on his own show. But I want to hear from the audience. Who do you think should moderate the debate that you think would be good for the debate itself?
Somebody asked that question on Twitter, and there was a couple of people who said that they would like to see me moderate the debates. That would obviously never happen, but I would totally be honored to have the opportunity. Now, while you guys are getting that together, I also wanted to show you this. You know that YouTube does fact checks. Okay, so you search for something, and they put this in the search results, or they put it underneath videos. And right here, fact check 7 months ago. President Trump has yet to condemn white supremacists and neo-Nazis, and that is false. Even YouTube says this is a false narrative. So let's see. What's the big name you're seeing in there?
I'm seeing some good ones as far as what's in the chat right now. I see Rush Limbaugh would be good. I think that would be fun. Yeah, 412 says James Woods. I know we'd love that, but
heck yeah,
it would be all about James Woods at that point, and we wouldn't even remember what they said. Let me see. Yeah, Rogan, he already turned it down, and we know Rogan has his own puppet strings that he's kind of been showing lately.
Yep.
iPod 1776. Love that. I see a red pill and M3 in there. That's cool. Dan Bongino, I guess maybe that would be cool. Mark Levin would be fun. Wheezy Girl brought that up. Yeah, seeing some good ones out there for sure. And that they should have at least done, like, give at least one of the three to a fully right-leaning person. Quite Frank would be great.
Yeah,
Frank would nail it.
Definitely. Okay. So moving on to this next little bit right here, talking about condemning violence, condemning people on the left who are, clearly calling for this type of stuff. You don't see this on the right. You don't see people in our movement calling for this, terrible treatment of people. But here, the former CEO of Twitter stated, I don't know when this was, I feel like I've seen this before, but in referring to people who don't agree with him, says that they should be lined up against the wall and, hit with the projectile in the revolution. He will happily provide video commentary. This is what we're seeing from people on the left, okay? This is the way that they act, and this is what we have in store for us. Now, at the debate, Joe Biden made the mistake of referring to the Kenosha kid as a supremacist, and it looks like Lynn Wood, his attorney, is prepping to sue Joe Biden, which means that he's going to be deposed, and Joe Biden could be liable for damages for what he said on a public stage. Keeping in mind, there's going to be a trial, okay? There's going to be a jury trial, and he could potentially be polluting any potential jurors that would be in that trial. This is a really big deal that Joe Biden did this.
Right, and we know Lynn Wood's also a bulldog. He's going to go after it completely. Not too concerned about that because they can't get away with it. As much as they throw it in our faces about anything that they can spin about us into that narrative, and then they do anything that is obviously that, or if things come out of video clips or tweets, kind of like the second moderator that's, buddies taking pictures with Joe Biden, not even, 4 years ago. They have to be called out and held accountable and all that. And I just want to say to the chat, you guys have made some fantastic suggestions for moderator. That Jonathan Turley was probably up there as my favorite, one of my favorites, because he is he's left leaning, but he's basically straight down the middle.
Yep. So, I'm looking forward to seeing Joe Biden get sued by Lynn Wood. Here is the tweet, Lynn Wood announcing it. And he says, formal demand for public retraction is being prepared for Biden-Harris campaign on behalf of Kenosha Kid. I also hereby demand that Joe Biden immediately retract his false accusation that Kenosha Kid is a white supremacist and militia member responsible for violence in Kenosha. And this is not the first time that Joe Biden has insinuated that, what's happened in these areas was our fault. I mean, you look at who has been, leading the charge on all of this violence, and it's not the right, okay? I want Joe Biden to officially denounce the people who are burning down businesses, who are, shooting off-duty police officers, who are killing active-duty police officers, who are killing people in the Patriot movement. This is what needs to be disavowed, and Joe Biden is never going to say it. He can't point to anybody in law enforcement that supports him because they are non-existent. He can only play to his own base. If he said any of the things that we would like him to say, then those violent leftists would probably attack him next, and they would not vote for him come November. All right, now, in the press conference today, I saw many people talking about the press conference today, and Methods, you saw it. It was pretty contentious.
Right. I mean, we expect for them to be rabid hyenas going after Kayleigh or whoever's doing the presser, but you could just hear the vitriol and hate and them trying to bully Kayleigh to talk about this whole thing about Trump labeling, denouncing these groups that you've been talking about throughout the show and saying their names very funnily, at least in my opinion. It reminded me of how these mobs that we've been seeing, these clips in the streets of them bullying people, say Black Lives Matter, and they're yelling at this stuff. That's basically how they treated her. Mm-hmm. John Roberts was probably one of the worst ones in there.
That's what I've got pulled up next. John Roberts actually broke down after this press conference because he was really going after Kayleigh. He was going after the president, and people let him have it on Twitter. I just want you guys to see this because this is a golden moment.
And for all of you on Twitter who are hammering me for asking that question, I don't care, because it's a question that needs to be asked. And clearly, the president's Republican colleagues a mile away from here are looking for an answer for it, too. So stop deflecting. Stop blaming the media. I'm tired of it.
All right.
John
Roberts is tired of it. So we're going to let...
John Roberts is tired of it. Oh, man. So obviously it is, he does care. It's getting to him. And, as long as people aren't being abusive, I say keep his notifications full. He needs to report in a fair manner on the president. Now, the chances of that happening are slim to none because he is a member of the White House press pool. But John Roberts is a shill for the mainstream media. And I don't expect any less from him in terms of this stuff. Now, one of the good things that did come out of the debate was the attention paid to Hunter Biden. Joe Biden completely denied President Trump's claim and the factual assertion that Hunter Biden received $3.5 million from the billionaire wife of the former mayor of Moscow. Talk about a Russian collusion connection. You've got it right there. Joe Biden claimed that this was a fictitious report, that this never happened. But it actually did happen. It truthfully did happen. And I've said before, just recently last week, if this was Don Jr. that had taken $3.5 million, it would be all over the news. But the media is completely ignoring it because this is the most damning aspect of that report that came out. Because this is exactly what they were looking for among Trump and his family and his team. And the only thing is that they found it in Biden. Now, with President Trump bringing that up, Google searches for Hunter Biden are up tenfold since last week. That means a lot of people are out there searching for what Hunter Biden did. People were already knowledgeable about it, but President Trump, this is probably the most watched debate in history. And President Trump put Hunter Biden, his corruption, his drug addiction, his record out on display. And I think that really threw Joe off. What do you think?
Oh, I totally agree. Sorry, I was checking apparently. And thank you, chat. There's a new post.
Okay, we'll go to that in a second. I need to do a couple of quick thank yous. EO2 Dave says, so the media wants Trump to condemn the supremacists so they can use it to go after our favorite Anon with the president's words. I think that is a very astute recollection there. Now, Hey Jude says, Harvest Moon tonight and tomorrow, Red October. There's actually 2 full moons this month, which is unusual. Marion says, myself and friend Linda drove from Rochester, New York to meet up. Great seeing in person. So much fun. Oh, Marion, awesome. I don't know if we met because I don't have a picture of you here, but if we didn't, please, if you come to the next one, then come and say hello to me in person. And then also, you guys, don't forget, I'm going to go ahead and just drop that GoFundMe one more time. Please tag Don Jr., tag Kimberly Guilfoyle, tag Eric Trump. Help us get their attention so that we can get the president maybe to tweet this out. And then I'm actually going to be putting out a tweet on Twitter at the end of this show, if you guys are on Twitter, I would so appreciate you guys retweeting that and helping us get it to the president and his team. Karen asked if I could send the GoFundMe again. I did, so thank you very much, Karen. Robin, thank you very much for that donation. Let's see. We also have another one from Hey Jude. She says that Chrissy Teigen and John Legend lost their third pregnancy. Sorry, not sorry. Those babies are better with God. And Carly Q lost her Twitter. That is correct. They took her down. And they took her down because she posted footage from the Google CEO's testimony regarding that F. Azel DRIP, Frazzle. That's another one. If you guys see somebody sharing that, I would imagine that is another trap, so don't. And then Phyllis 2 days ago said, great job, thanks for all you do. Also, Mary says, thank you for all you do. I was there for Muffingate. I was there for Muffingate, where we go one, we go all. And then Rachel, thank you very much. And Katie, hello from Roanoke, Virginia. I'm enjoying the MAGA meetup. I guess you were there. And I just want to thank you for your hard work and dedication. I feel so good to be a patriot. It is one of the best feelings I can possibly describe to be part of this movement. Today on Cash App, Chris, thank you very much, Chris. PFM. Oh, sorry. Natural Lady, great job on the debate coverage. Remain blessed. Thank you very much. And then Felix, I'm on my lunch break. Lunch is on me. Thank you very much. Also, his daughter was watching the other day. I gave her a shout out. That was pretty cool. And then Navy Vet says, love your show. No Cuomo. 2313 today. Maybe we can pull that up and we'll go ahead and see it. But here, let's see. What is this new post that has come out? I'm waiting for my screen.
It's pretty straightforward. It's got a clip of the president back in 2017 denouncing or condemning what happened at Charlottesville.
Yeah.
And just a reminder, and not to steal your steez on this, but I'm going to just go ahead and read it. He says, Q says, how many times must it be said? Pushed every election. Why? Divided we fall. The party con projection.
Yep.
And that's the point of it, is that it frustrates us to no end because we know it's a blatant lie as it's leaving their teeth of them saying it. You can see them lying about it, and we could go find these clips. It's not hard to find Trump saying these things, but we are in the middle of the election year, and I think we're in the middle of the election itself. Mm-hmm. And once we get up, November 4th, once we get through however this election process goes, mm-hmm. It's going to be a new world because a lot of their narratives won't matter as much anymore. Like around the Kung flu. Yeah. They don't, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I don't know. I think that we're in a place now that we're right there at a finish line, or at least at the end of a chapter.
I completely agree. This is very, very close to the end. And, to my point earlier about hunting a predator, I mean, they're not going to go down easy. All right. They're going to use everything that they possibly have in every arrow in their quiver, if you will, to coin a phrase from Nancy Pelosi. But we just have to keep moving. We got to keep moving forward, and we got to try to maintain a cool head and support the president and just go for it. So, yes, thank you to everybody who donated. Appreciate you guys for supporting the show. Now, moving on to our next story. Oh, this is also great. So, anybody who wants to say that Trump didn't win in this debate can look at this this broadcast from CNN. President Trump obviously talking about Hunter Biden. Even John King, CNN's John King, another silver fox on the Talking Head squad, he, as a result of President Trump's statements, called Hunter Biden a swamp creature, using his family name to make money around the world. I found that to be incredibly shocking. I couldn't believe that they were willing to go ahead and say that. Let's go ahead and look at the clip.
Hunter Biden, in many ways, is a weakness for the former vice president because of his work. He was I'll call it out. He's a swamp creature, like many people, trading under his family name to make money around the world.
There he is. Hunter Biden is a swamp creature, and he is a weakness for Joe Biden. So, let's go for it. Let's keep it up. Now, this is actually the, I mentioned earlier, the ambush of those 2 police officers in Los Angeles. Deontay Lee Murray has been arrested, and he's been charged with the attempted murder in Compton. Now, the good news is neither of those police officers lost their lives. Due to the quick thinking of one of those officers, she was able to basically save them both. Now, this guy is a 36-year-old. He's going to be arraigned tomorrow in a Compton courthouse on 2 counts of attempted murder. And it's, it's an act of cowardice, I mean, these police officers are putting their lives on the line every single day. And if you were to defund the police methods, if you defunded the police in a place like Compton, can you imagine just the immediate uptick in violent crime that would take place?
Well, we did see how quickly down the rabbit hole the Chaz went.
Oh, yeah.
When they didn't have the police there, and they ended up having, you have the hierarchies, gangs would take over, and there would be a fight over territory without the police stepping in at all. So, yeah, I'm glad that they caught the guy, assuming that they have the right person. I know that there's been some height, concerns about the being the right person, but we'll see how it plays out. But yeah, we don't need to be having people doing that. We need to get back to cops being respected.
Yeah.
Or at least, at the very least, feared for the right reasons, and that's to not lose your rights because of the poor choices that you make.
Yep. Now, speaking of poor choices, I'm sure everybody heard about Brad Parscale over the weekend. Brad was formerly, for this round, he was going to be the campaign manager. And then there was that first rally that took place after the shutdown, where AOC and all of her K-pop friends on TikTok apparently reserved all the tickets, and they had to move it to a larger venue because they thought there were going to be more people there than were actually going to show. And that was done as a psychological operation to make it appear as if nobody was coming to this event, when in fact the original venue that they had would have been sufficient. But I think Brad Parscale kind of fell out of favor when that happened, because it was right after that he kind of was moved aside as campaign manager, and he went into another role. Now, Methods, you said that he and his wife, they also lost 2 children recently, right?
I saw something about it like that. Like they're going through a family issue. I'm sure the chat will let us know.
Yeah.
But, when things happen, when it comes to like marital stuff, I mean, I have no qualms saying it, that I've been through that kind of thing before. I mean,
who hasn't,
Right. I mean, it's something that all because he's a high profile person that we all know and the left hates is why there was such a big deal made out of what just happened.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I mean, that happens everywhere all the time.
Yeah, I mean, they took the opportunity because they saw him as, somebody close to Trump that they could defame and that they could make up this fake news story about. When it was reported initially, it was like Brad Parscale, campaign manager for President Trump, barricaded in home with a weapon. His wife's life is in danger. And then the footage, this is great because one of the police officers leaked that footage. All right. It was a body cam footage, and it came out and it showed his wife, kind of, they were both a little toasted, let's say. They had been drinking, and it was midday. They're probably hanging out by the pool, and she made this claim that he was in his office with a weapon. I don't know what to believe in terms of her, but if they were having a bad time, maybe she was overreacting. Maybe she was trying to make in a situation like this happen. But he came outside willingly. Okay, he came outside and he was sitting on his porch, and then one of the police officers was like, "Hey man, come on over here. It's okay. Let's just talk. Come in the shade." And then they got him in the shade. They got him in the shade, and then one of the officers rushes him. He's like, "Get on the ground, get on the ground." He just rushes him and he body slams poor Brad Parscale. And then they handcuffed him, and it was nothing like what the media was saying it was. But they put him in the hospital. I think they put him on like a temporary psychiatric hold over the weekend, and now he's going to be stepping away from the Trump campaign as a result of this. Now, he did release a statement, and I want to go ahead and show you guys that statement. Hang on, where did that go?
Well, while you're pulling that up, I see a lot of people talking in the chat because there are the allegations that he did funnel money out of the Trump campaign to himself.
Oh, I didn't know about that. Let's talk about that.
That's the media's making the allegations. I haven't fully dug into it. A lot of other things to be paying attention to right now.
Yeah.
But my just from what I know of it, if he did steal money, have him held accountable for whatever the law is. Like, that's fine. I don't care which side does it. If you're breaking the law and you're stealing from people, that's fine. But I also remember the media.
Hey, I think somebody's at the door. I'll be right back.
Yeah, go ahead. And I do remember the media a few years back painting a picture of how Brad Parscale makes all this money. He lives a life of fortune and fame. And then we get to a point that, now this comes out right before the election, and the media is definitely having a field day with it. So if it's not true, that makes complete sense because they're definitely attacking the president with any lies that they can. But if it is true, then fine, hold him accountable for it, let him pay his dues and move on with his life. But if he is having marital stuff going on, anybody that's listening now that's been through it understands that a lot of that, if it were to make it to the media, it wouldn't look the best. And, things are said that shouldn't be said. Fights happen. And the fact that we, it gets to a viral video within hours and spread across the internet, that's very unfortunate. Definitely, but I do agree, if there was something happening and he did steal money, then that's definitely a problem. Now, I know Red Pill's still dealing with what we're all crossing our fingers for, of Muffingate 2.0. He needs to turn the camera back on, but this is a great opportunity for me to bring up my buddy who does shows with me on Friday on my Methods to Madness show on my channel, 412 Anon, has his show coming up here in about an hour and 15 minutes. And I'm going to go ahead and share that link in the chat for all of y'all to be able to catch, because it's going to be with Frank and Dilly, which is always a great show. And I'm sure they'll be talking about a lot of the similar stuff that we are. Did we get Muffingate 2.0, Red Pill?
Muffingate 10.0 at this point. It's a package from FedEx, and they had to have me sign for it. I don't even know what it is, but we'll check it out here in a moment. Okay, so I'm sorry. What evidence is there to say that he funneled money out of the campaign? Is there any evidence?
Well, I like I said while you were gone, I haven't seen anything, but I've seen the media harp on it.
Yeah.
And they painted the picture before that he lives a life of fortune. So
he's got a business though, doesn't he?
Right, yeah. But they tried to. I've seen the hit clips on him over the years as he's been building up, because they were attacking him during all these MAGA rallies that were going on before the Rona being such a success. But I haven't seen anything, and it's not surprising. Anything that breaks during the next, 30 something days that we have left, what is it, 32 or whatever, 33, always take it with a grain of salt, because we are at that point now to where they're just throwing wrenches in every direction.
Oh, it's from Noble Gold. It's I don't know what it is. Let's go ahead.
I know. I can appreciate Dagny Taggart in the chat saying, "What's in the box?"
Yeah, hold on. Let me see.
Yeah, he's opening up a box. No, it's not that Exerso in the chat.
It's an American Eagle from the U.S. Treasury. How does that open? Okay, there we go. Oh, wow. Okay, it's a gold coin. It's a 1/10 of an ounce gold coin. This is
Look at you. That's awesome.
It's so cool. Yeah, they send me stuff occasionally, and that is an awesome thing to receive, man. They no wonder they had to have me sign for it.
Real quick on that. Now we do have another post. If we want to go over that real quick.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, so it is a Twitter status from the Rubin Report, and it says, wow, this is Chris Wallace. This is what I just showed. Chris Wallace asking Trump the same question in 2016. Any journalists want to share this? Very, very interesting. And, of course, Democrat Party con, Democrat Party playbook, who are the real racists? The world is waking up. You guys, I retweeted that video. If you want to go ahead and share that, then that would be great. Misconduct, do they have noble silver? Yes, yeah, it's just called Noble Gold, but they sell silver and gold and a variety of other products. Now, I didn't even mention this, but President Trump also put out on his official campaign website 33 false or misleading claims that Joe Biden made during the debate. I'll just say, off the top of my head, he said that he was not in favor of the Green New Deal to Chris Wallace. But then you go to Joe Biden's campaign website and it says that he is, in fact, in favor of the Green New Deal. So that's just, one of the many things that Joe Biden lied or misled the public about during that debate the other night. So now we also had the James Comey testimony yesterday.
Before you move on, I just wanted to say what he didn't jump against quickly was when Trump accused him of the Logan Act stuff with Flynn.
Yes, that's
and
right.
being spying on the campaign. He sat there over there, just like looking down and stuff and not really wanting to touch it at all. So that was an interesting thing for him to not jump on. But yeah, go ahead. I want to talk about that, Comey.
Well, I and that specifically, I think that's because he realizes that they probably have direct evidence of that. Not only firsthand testimony from people, but, who's to say that they don't have a recording of it? And, many people were talking about it. And obviously, Joe Biden was one of the people who unmasked General Flynn on a number of occasions. Now, so Comey pled stupid yesterday. In his testimony, he pled absolute ignorance to so many things. What's really striking to me is that James Comey appears to be a man who can word for word remember every conversation he ever had with the president. But when it comes to the presentation of evidence that exonerates people that he is trying to investigate or, saddle with some crimes they never committed, doesn't remember a darn thing. Doesn't even ever remember being told that Hillary Clinton put together this Swift boat campaign against President Trump. Doesn't remember ever hearing that the primary subsource to the Steele dossier was in fact a Russian asset. Doesn't remember that Russian asset was under investigation by the FBI for trying to turn American agents into assets of the Russian government. James Comey only remembers the things that he wants to remember. And he came off as arrogant. He came off as defiant. He came off as, self-righteous. James Comey sitting there on that Zoom call, man, it was a difficult thing to watch. I know a lot of other people were very frustrated by it too. What about you?
Well, I mean, I go into it expecting exactly what you described, and it's not bad. I want to see how he's going to act because we know he's a snake. Mm-hmm. And to your point, he did sit there like he was like, I'm a made man by the mafia. You can't touch me.
Yep.
Type mentality. But I really appreciated watching the Republicans not buy it and call him out. If anybody, go back and watch Senator Kennedy asking him how many books he sold.
Yeah,
it was absolutely hilarious. But yeah, I agree with you. They're playing the ignorance card because then they can't, there's no sound bites there. He had sworn in under oath. Mm-hmm. So there's that as well. It's the perjury thing. But anytime what you can watch is anytime that a Republican would name out factual things that he should remember. As the FBI director being involved, I don't agree with your preamble. Yes. And then basically saying, I don't agree with your preamble when the preamble is 3 or 4 different points that you could very well at the very least remember one thing. And you're like, well, I don't agree with the whole thing, though. So throw the baby out with the bathwater and then denounce it and move on. This is a great case study of watching wordsmithing. Mm-hmm. And dancing around and talking out the side of your mouth. It was fascinating the entire time.
Yes, it certainly was. And, and again, to my point from earlier in the evening, or in the show, rather, the Democrats just constantly harping on their talking points, trying to still hammer home that Russia collusion narrative, trying to show that there was nothing done that was improper. And James Comey, he's such an annoying Boy Scout, trying to make it appear that he did all of this stuff and it was, above board, when in actuality, it was a crap show from the beginning. Muffin, come on, honey, we're almost done. It also came out that the Department of Justice lawyer who signed all those Carter Page spy warrants regrets doing so. This was in a letter that I believe was sent to Lindsey Graham, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he put it into the record.
Yeah,
at the start of it.
Yeah, so they're not identified, but they signed all four, and they're not happy with what happened. So the attorney advises that he or she has been aware of the significant errors and omissions identified by the OIG and the errors in the Woods process. He would not have signed or the filed page FISA applications if they had known about the significant errors and omissions. So the lying and the fabrication of evidence. And James Comey made a point about the checks and balances process that they have in the procedures there, and I actually believed him on this. The process itself was made intentionally in a convoluted way, so that blame could not be laid at any one person's feet, and it could just be spread around. So even with the email by Kevin Kleinsmith, Comey refused to say that there was anything wrong with the investigation. That was shocking. I guess, not wholly surprising, but still shocking nonetheless. He could not admit that Kevin Kleinsmith's fabrication of evidence put, a pallor of corruption over the entire investigation.
Right. If he really cared about America, don't you think that he would be on an apology tour and then asking for responsibility to be laid at his feet? Because he even admitted there that, yeah, it's my responsibility as me being the FBI director for what's going on. Oh, but I didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah.
This happened under my watch. And then, okay, you have a good point against me that I should actually be in trouble for.
Mm-hmm.
But let me just talk in generalities and act ignorant. I mean, that's, to me, I understand why people get frustrated watching it, because you see it for what it is. But to me, like I said on the show yesterday, that Durham was watching, and that's helping his situation too. And I think it's important to at least make, if anything, we're muddying, how they're trying to keep Trump busy with all these narratives, and just really, they're now keeping them busy as well by having to do these hearings and prepare for them and keep it in their head. It's all tactics.
It's all tactics, and they're going to keep using them as long as they possibly can. So, almost at the end here, guys, but a couple of important things I'm probably going to be going over in depth in the 6 o'clock show, Red Pill News. Just driving home the importance of securing our elections. In Philadelphia, the memory sticks used to control the voting machines was stolen from the elections warehouse. That's huge news. We're going to go over that tonight. Also, Seagram's heiress Claire Bronfman has been sentenced in the NXIVM case. And some new information has come out in the Julian Assange trial in regards to some plans that the clowns in America had for him. So we're going to go over all of those at 6 p.m. So, Methods, why don't you do the proverbial plug for everything you've got coming up this week?
Right. Well, all I have on my channel is the show Methods to Madness with 412 and on tomorrow. That'll be at 2:30 p.m. Eastern. I imagine enough news will break in the next 24 hours for us to go over, but I look forward to that. It's always a good discussion. And then, of course, we've got Comfy Sunday, which I'll go ahead and jump to, because I believe that we're having Nate Cain on. Is that the
yes, that is correct. Nate Cain is going to be back. And it's an important time for him to be on, because with all of the corruption that is just being revealed at the FBI, it's important to note that Nate Cain is the only whistleblower that used the process he did to officially blow the whistle on the FBI and the crimes committed therein. And, he's very recently been talking about things that he's never spoken about before. Rod Rosenstein was directly involved in the disclosure that Nate put forward. This deals with the Clinton Foundation. This deals with financing of terror. This deals with so much stuff. It's a far deeper rabbit hole than people maybe realized before. So we're going to be talking about all of that stuff. I'm certainly looking forward to it. Now, if I can just remind everybody, we are going to be doing another MAGA meetup on October 15th for the second debate from 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern. I'm about to put a tweet out, and if I can get you guys to retweet that tweet. I would so appreciate it. It is some drone footage of the first event that we had from JR. And he tags pretty much everybody in there that we need to go ahead and tag in this. I would really appreciate it. And, again, if you guys can support us and help us out with the cost, that'd be so great. If you can't, I hope that you can just come and enjoy the time. And that's basically it, guys. I'm looking forward to seeing you tonight at 6 p.m. on Red Pill News. If it's not at 6, it'll be right after 6. Because obviously I have to feed the dogs and take care of them, and then get to recording and editing. And then tomorrow being, today's being Thursday, tomorrow being Friday, on the show, we're going to have Tom Althouse, the true author of the script for The Matrix. He's going to be returning. And then on Saturday, our good friend, Quite Frankly, is going to be back on the show. And then, of course, as Method said, we've got Nate Kane coming on Sunday. All right, you guys, I'm going to drop this tweet into the chat in just a moment. As soon as I end the stream, I'm going to get it going. I love you all for being here. Thank you so much for your participation. Thank you to the mods for keeping the chat comfy. Methods, as always, thank you for being an excellent co-host. And we will see you guys tonight on Red Pill News. Good luck, everyone, and God bless.